right. What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up?
All right. What's up?
It's a new day, a new day, a new topic. All right.
Peace and
Well,
blessing. Peace and
basically,
blessing.
it's a peace and blessing to you, brothers. So, it's not necessarily a new topic. It's a pretty old topic, but every once in a while, you got to dive back into it to straighten out the record. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm glad we could deal with this topic because there's something that happened about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So we're going to discuss that today. And you could judge from the email, or not the email, the thumbnail, what we're going to talk about. And so if you
Hmm.
haven't already heard, I'm going to play a few clips and we're going to dive into it. So peace to chat. Let me give a few shout outs to the chat. H. Rich is here. JG is here. And so allow a few people to come in and before we get rolling and get started. So yeah, it was a great time we had the last time when we were talking about the
The
situation with
jazz.
you, brother Don.
Yeah, the
So
jazz, man.
yeah,
It was yes, we were definitely building.
yes. So check.
Um,
So we got Blade, Black Haze in the house. Okay, let me give a couple more minutes before we get started. Let me put this down here, this caption thing here.
well, while we waiting to get started, can I give a quick shout out?
Sure thing.
And before we go any further, this brother that is with us this evening, let me just say this real quick. When we had our conversation last week, you had put another young brother that was inspired by me,
Right.
right? And he went on to do, really great things. Now, that's not what I'm really trying to get into, the great I am.
Mhm.
What I wanted to say is that how I was able to do that is because of brothers like this man here that is on this platform. So the point I wanted to make is it's people like the Magnificent Seven, Mercedes Ladies,
Mhm.
K Connection. Um, Shout out to brother Andre Wilson, Breakout and Baron
Yeah.
that don't always get mentioned, in these conversations.
Right.
Um, and this is something that I'll definitely bounce off of brother Khalif. Uh, Unsung heroes, as far as Herc, DJ Clark Kent, the Imperial JC.
See, yeah.
Mhm.
When we talk about Bambata, they rarely mention brother Jazzy J. You know, we all know who Jazzy J is. But the reason why I wanted to say I have to emphasize is that hip hop has a lot of unsung heroes. So I wanted to give this brother his flowers because I've never met him technically,
Mm.
but I've been to not some, many of his parties. So uh, I definitely can put my stamp of approval for the Magnificent Seven. Yeah,
All
yes.
right. All right.
Okay, I just wanted to get that out
Uh,
the way.
Thank you,
okay.
brother. I appreciate it, man. We don't get a lot of mention, like you said, you know. A lot of times it's like they tried to write us out of the history of this, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
Yeah, I
we
can dig it.
we definitely was there and we definitely was doing our thing. And it's because of brothers like you remembering and being able to bring that up and verify that, we appreciate that, man. We really
Well,
do.
when Brother Truth told me, he said, Brother Khalif is gonna be on, and he was saying, he was just mentioning you by name, and then we said Magnificent Seven. Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on now. Hold on. And so it's just like um, the same thing happened to me by someone in my family circle. And he, same thing. He just mentioned it so nonchalantly about the K connection. And when you sit back and realize how many people who are truly, truly unsung,
Mhm.
and this brother is definitely, and his clique is without a doubt one of them.
Well, that's hey.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
Yes.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of brothers, to piggyback off of what you just said, there's a lot of people. When you mention Jazzy J, who I know, personally too. but with Bam, right? But there was also Islam before
Oh,
Jazzy J, and there was
yes.
Zambu before Islam.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, see, this brother's this is what you call the headbangers. These were
Right.
the headbangers. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, Khalif, which to me is like one of the mysteries of hip hop. When I went to see the Zulus, like, don't get me wrong, Soul Sonic Force, those were the OGs,
Right.
and to be respected, but I just knew for a fact that the Cosmic Force was going to be next. That is the fact that that group did not get a chance to get their shine on, I think, is as well as y'all cats as well, man. You know,
Yeah.
so one of the things that I think that has happened, and we'll get into all of this later, is that the story from our era is not told, or if it's told by people who wasn't running in those circles.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, that's
right.
the big problem with it is that, the people that tell the story they weren't really there. They're not a part of it. And they get these little bits and pieces and they regurgitate the same talking points.
Right.
But and
But
the thing about it is that a lot of it is the people that's in this, it's their fault because they're telling them these things, and a lot of it is not. It's false information, and
right.
just like with truth. I like with truth because he's a truth savior. He tells the truth. You know what I mean? And that's why I like coming on his show. So from the first time, Andre's the one who actually hit me the truth,
Right. Right.
and ever since I started listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely wanted to be a part of this because we want to set the record straight.
Hmm.
We want to set the record straight. A lot of
Right.
this stuff is just, it's a lot of puff pieces, and
I
it's
agree.
it's ridiculous,
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because like you hear it all the time. Well, truth, you ain't from the Bronx. Well, see, that's why I talk to brothers who are from the Bronx.
Right,
So if I could talk to the people who was there, it's like I'm there. As
right,
long as I'm
Well,
telling their truth, it's not an issue. And I think, and for what to be, I'm not tooting my own horn. For a person who's not born there, I feel as though I grab the essence of what's going on more than some of these liars out here and some of these, and even some of the pioneers who are fabricating dates and things of that nature. Because you got to sift through all of that nonsense in order to try to get
mm-hmm,
the whole picture. So, and
yes.
I'm still learning, but I think I'm every time, every day I look into this history, I'm trying to get it right, and that's the whole thing. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. I'm just trying to get it right. And so
right,
that's why I invited you brothers on for this particular show, because something was said by Coke Rock, and so I want you to hear that, and
mm-hmm,
we could discuss that, and based on your own experience, does it sound reasonable? You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
Okay.
so let if anything else you guys want, let me say hello to the chat. Thank you, chat, for chiming in today. Let me give a couple of shout outs before I get started. I see China Black. Let me go from the top because I want to make sure I recognize people here. Okay, we got Sidian Snow. If I pronounce that wrong, I'm sorry. Sidian Snow. We got China Black, of course. JG, of course. We got Brass Hop Deepy. I'm not sure. Some people got these weird names, boy. Joshua Wisdom. Okay, what's up? We got Estelle. Paul Roberts. What's up, Paul Roberts? He's a good brother there. So okay. So let's get into the first the first clip. Let me share the screen, and let's get going with this Cochlear Rock. Let me find this Cochlear Rock thing. Okay. Let me Cochlear Rock. Okay, let me just make this. So I just want you guys to listen to this. Now, let me set this up first of all. Let me set this up. I think personally, I don't know. I don't have proof, but it seems like this was all staged. And I want you guys to listen to this, and we're going to break this down and why I believe it's somewhat staged. So let's go.
After that party, right? After Cindy's party with Herc, you being there in the beginning, this is a big question that a lot of my fans wanted to know, and they wanted to know straight from you specifically. I got so many messages in my DM when I showed a video to you. You was on the mic, and me and Joe was talking about it. Joe Conzo had the picture, and everybody wanted to know when you was around in '73, making moves on the street, being at the parties, playing music, and rocking the mic. Was there Puerto Ricans around in '73?
Yes, they was nationality guys here. You know, once again,
But specifically Puerto Ricans. The question is not about other nationalities.
Okay.
The question is about when you was rocking the mic. When Coke La Rock picked up the mic in '73 and was going to parties and was doing this thing, were Puerto Ricans part of the culture in that year at the very beginning?
they was in the party as people, but like again, I can't speak on. I didn't know none
Personally.
personally.
Okay.
I didn't know none.
Oh,
Okay, let me stop that right there. Now this is the thing. This is the thing that I have an issue with. Now, you guys, what do you guys think of that particular clip in it? Let me say this. The reason why I have an issue with it is because there is no reason that I am aware of that Puerto Ricans were there in '73. No one ever spoke about that. So the question is, well, why would he even ask that kind of a question in the first place, right?
mm-hmm.
You know, so what do you think about that particular clip? Now, shout out to this is Delgado podcast. He interviewed Coke La Rock, and so what do you think? What are your thoughts on that first clip there?
Well, I'll let Brother Khalif go
Oh,
first because he's these are definitely his stomping grounds.
okay, and I'm gonna say this in '73. Okay, and I think what he was trying to allude to was this. Well, Coke in his answer was trying to allude to this. Were there Puerto Ricans there? Yeah, I mean Puerto Ricans were in the Bronx. Yeah, in '73. But were they part of the culture? No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Were they rocking microphones and DJing? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Okay. Now this is the okay. Go ahead, brother Don. What do you think? You have any comments before I play the next
Well,
clip?
now this is now one thing that I definitely don't do is try to say uh, I was someplace when I wasn't. Now the thing would
Mhm.
hurt for me is that I grew up close to Taft High School, so my first introduction to Herc really was Cedar Park, which is
Okay.
directly behind Sedgwick Avenue.
What year would that be?
Uh, I would probably say it definitely. Now, if we say in '73, I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
So I was really on that borderline where I didn't have to be home when the lights came on, but not too soon afterwards. Now, and let me explain about Cedar Park. They used to say back in the day, Cedar Park in the dark, Cedar Park. And
Yeah, yeah.
when it got dark, that's you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. So what went on, let's say at that time in '73, I really was a regular for Herc is let's say around 74, 75, where I can hang out a little bit more. And he eased his from Cedar Park, he went to 104 Park. So the thing that I would definitely want to say, how this is definitely a very sensitive subject is so many of us, and I'm pretty sure Khalif as well, has grown up and have Latinos as far as that are peoples, that are family. So my experience was it wasn't that Latinos wasn't, going to the jams and stuff like
Right.
that, but like
Right.
as far as um like DJs and MCs, and let me get on the real subject, b-boys, that's not what I saw.
Okay. All
That's
right.
not what I saw.
Okay. Let me play this rest of it. Now you would think now after that particular, back and forth, you would think he would kind of drop it, but he went back to it And he prefaced it. I want you guys to listen to this. He prefaced the whole question by saying, well, this brother is 70 years old. No one was before him, blah, 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 blah. Whatever he says is the word. And this is the first time he ever said this. So he's prefacing this whole question, right, before he asked the question. So that got me to thinking, what hasn't he said before, unless you know the answer? And so you have to understand the whole thing. For me, Puerto Ricans are trying to place themselves as early as possible in hip hop. And what I find strange is that they always seek to find a brother to vouch for them, you know, in a particular space, right? If you were there, this is my belief. If you were there, why aren't your pioneers speaking, right? Why are brothers have to be called in to vouch for you, to say, oh, they were there, they were doing this, they were doing that? That is what that's the thing that I constantly see. You don't hear no Puerto Rican pioneers coming up from 73, 74, 75, you know, saying anything.
Well, can I say one thing? And this is where they are put, and when I say they, like the Spanish pioneers are put in a real bad spot, because they all have said it. Let's say Ruby D has spoke on this, Whip a Whip.
And I'm going to play a little bit of that too. So
okay, and let's say even Charlie Chase. And sometimes when they do speak on like what was going on at the time, they are getting a lot of heat from their community as well. So we live in a time right now where, you know, listen, through the years, you know, Latinos have definitely contribute to the culture. And let's keep it real. There's politics right now where, hey, there are certain bridges that you don't want to necessarily burn, you know. So sometimes you gotta walk that line and be politically correct, you know, because with this subject, let's keep it real, is like we're almost being put to a guilt trip if we want to really speak our story,
our truth, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, let me go ahead and play this part. Okay, guys, let me do this one. Now, like I said, think about what he's saying and how he's prefacing this particular question, because after that statement was made, there was something else going on, you know. So I kind of cut it and I went to so just imagine like 5 minutes went by in this conversation after that was, and this is like after 5 minutes of conversation, this is what is said.
He's 70 years old. Do you understand? When he was outside, I wasn't even born, right? We was thoughts. A lot of us was just a thought. You know what I'm saying? I was 2 years old in 73, man. I'm 2.
Okay. Right. No,
And all this is taking place.
Right.
So now I ask you this, right? I want to revisit the question because, like I said, it's such a hot button topic. What year would you say you began to recognize Puerto Ricans moving through the culture, DJing, rapping, playing records? When can Coke La Rock say, okay, this was the year where I noticed Puerto Ricans was also moving through the culture?
I could say, like, you could say, like I said, again, that's a hard thing for me to even say.
Okay, but give me, because listen, your account, there's no other MC older than you. So as the first MC, you know the year that you say is law. Period. Niggas got to accept it because they can't argue with it. You remember that. You can't argue with this. You're not older than him. You wasn't born before him. Whatever he says right now, the answer to this question, I want everybody to be quiet after this. He's never said this before. Delgado's podcast, exclusive interview, Coke La Rock. Coke, once again, what year would you say you saw Puerto Ricans moving through the culture, playing music, and rocking the mic?
I could say 75.
That early?
Nah. I'm
1975.
gonna have to disagree with that.
So you picked up the mic in 73, and by 75, the culture was ingrained and Puerto Ricans were moving through it as well.
Yeah, because everybody started talking.
Everybody started messing with it.
Everybody started talking.
All right. Okay. So that's basically what we're dealing with. Let me turn this off. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold up. Hold up. Let me just go back. All right. Okay. Let me do this. Let me stop the share, and we're going to come back. All right. So, what you guys think of that exchange?
I disagree with that because my crew was formulated in 1975, the Magnificent Seven.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I told you this before. We would play parties like 63 Park, right?
Mm.
And the Spanish brothers would be on the outside of the gate because this is schoolyard. So you know they out on the outside of the gate. And I'm telling them, yo, come in. It's free, come in. And they didn't want to come inside the parties. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to, they would stand on the outside looking in at us, but they wouldn't come in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is in 75,
Okay.
So the first time that or first time I heard knew of any Spanish person that was actually involved in the culture was when DJ Casanova Fly had DJ Wiz. And DJ Wiz was the first Puerto Rican dude that I seen that was in the culture.
Okay.
Now, Ruby D and Whipper whipping them, you're gonna play the clip. They came later. They'll tell you they came later. I remember when they came because me and Theodore, I grew up with okay, I'm gonna tell you like this. Me, Mean Gene, Theodore, Cordy, Stevie Steve, um, Disco B. All of us grew up on Tiffany Street. From
Mm-hmm.
little kids, I'm talking about playing tag and all that other stuff. Me and Theodore went to school from kindergarten to Morris High School Annex together. And when we were in Morris High School Annex, that's when that's when he started formulating the Fantastic Five. Cause you remember he was their DJ. And they used to come to the school to get him like after school. After school, they would come there, and I would have a box with our tape, Magnificent Seven, and they used to rag on us. But this is when they were first formulating their crew. So
Can can I just wanted to mention something because Khalif was mentioning some names, and I would
Mm-hmm.
just like to give a little backdrop because when he was talking about Mean Gene, Cordio, these are the cats that formed the L Brothers. So
the
we,
L
we
brothers, yeah,
yeah,
those
we're
are the L
talking about
brothers.
people who were very pivotal in this thing. This was before they became Fantastic Five.
Yeah,
Is this
no,
the same?
The L brothers. Not to cut you off, they were first because that the L brothers, their last name is Livingston. That's why they call them the L brothers. It's
Okay.
Gene, Cordy, and Theodore. Those are the L brothers. Now, Gene was with Flash. It started out, it was DJ Flash, Mean Gene, and the Disco B. And
But
then
now
Easy
this is
Mike
the
used to be there.
yes, I was getting ready to just say because when they say Grandmaster Flash, it was definitely Easy Mike and Disco B
Yeah.
as well. So
But
these are
before that,
all
it was Mean
all
Gene.
yes, and Mean
Yeah.
Gene as well. These are all very pivotal people. And 63 Park, uh, this is where it was like another level of hip hop. These wasn't just
Yeah, that was the Mecca.
yeah, that wasn't these wasn't dudes that was just from around the way. These were people that you saw on the flyers later on. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and this is very early on. But now I just wanted to mention the first because this is a dude that probably very few people will know about, but the people in my area will. Now, where I grew up, and this is another conversation, was like I said, not too far from the Sparkle, but the on the other side of the concourse was Smokey and the
Oh yeah,
Smokatron.
DJ Smokey and the Smokatrons. Yes,
And
sir.
but there was the Spanish cat that I always wondered about. Because let's say going down the concourse before you get to the courthouse, there's that big park, right?
Right. Right.
And not just dropping names, but you know, when I went to that park, that's where Tila Rock and them was. But there was this kid, and this was before the Fantastic Five. There was another Spanish whip, and we used to call him White Boy Whip. And it was no mistaken that he was Afro. No, this dude was not Afro Latino. We used to call him White Boy Whip, and this dude was off the chain.
What year was that? What year would you say that was?
I want to say easily 75, 74, 75.
Okay, so according to you, then Coca Rock is right. Because now, because here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to say. Because if that's correct, then the first MC, as far as we're told, you know, there's the debate between, of course, Coca Rock, but Melly Mel said he's the first MC, right?
Yeah.
So are we saying now? This is what I'm saying. Are we saying that these Puerto Rican dudes predate Melly Mel?
No. I don't. What I want to say is, because like I said, when you're talking from like 74 and stuff like that, and like I said, Khalif can chime in on that, like how the DJs were growing. It wasn't just a one thing. You still had Hollywood in the background. You could speak on Love Bug Starsky, Eddie Chiba, Pete DJ Jones, and they kind of took not took off, but they were from that school of like John Brown and them. So it wasn't a Pacific thing. It was you definitely had not disco but R&B DJs at the same time. And so when I say as far as Melly Mel, I would definitely say when they started laying it down, they were definitely the people who set the bar, you know, like say the Furious Five. Another thing too, but who and Khalif can speak on this too. The Funky Four was another group that, and this is when Raheem,
who
later went to
Funky Four.
Right, he was with the original Funky Four.
Yeah,
and you know something, Khalif, I got to say this to you. When Raheem went to the Furious Five, I thought that was so unfair because the Furious Five was already dope, but then they took this like literally like I want to say Raheem was like the star of the Funky Four, and if I'm overstepping, you can please correct me. But the thing about it, I had said, well, what is the Funky Four gonna do? But man, when they bounced back, man, with Rodney C and Jazzy Jeff and you know KK and Keith, I had to give them props. They didn't bounce back. They bounced back with stepping.
Yeah, that's like bittersweet for me, man. You know, it's sweet because they did their thing. That's my brother, and those are my brothers, and I appreciate them. But they left us, and they went to the Funky Four. So you know, I have a thing with them.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they were down with us. Rodney and Jeff was down with us.
See,
They was in the
now
Magnificent Seven.
get out of here,
Yeah,
man.
they left us and went because what happened was when Raheem left, they kicked the thing is they said that they kicked Raheem out the group. He got voted out the group. So Chirac left in protest of them kicking Raheem out the group. So they were
Okay.
down 2 members.
Okay.
So Breakout was holding auditions. So Rodney and Jeff went and auditioned and they got in. Then Chirac heard them, I guess, or whatever happened. She came back. And that's how it became the plus one more.
Right. Okay. Well, you know something. This is what I mean when you start to get into the backdrops of these stories. All I knew was that they did come back as the Funky Four plus one more because they was just originally the Funky Four.
Yeah, the original Funky Four was Keith, KK Rockwell, Raheem, and Chirac. That was the
Chirac.
original Funky Four.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could I ask you a quick question? You DJ Khalif, you mentioned you said DJ Wiz was the name you said?
Yeah, Wiz. Yeah.
Okay. Now does he predates Ruby D? That's what you just said?
Yeah. I would
because
say
Ruby
I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay, because why is Ruby D considered the first Latino MC? Why is that?
Yeah, he's a DJ. Wiz is a DJ.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Whip is the
Okay.
DJ.
And another thing too with Ruby D, and actually with Whip, was that when and he can speak on this, but like when the L Brothers, came, the next revision was the Fantastic Five, and
Right.
by then, and something I want to kind of ask Khalif this and kind of put this on record. It's just like how when you look at gospel church, how you might have young prodigies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then because when I first heard the L Brothers and Theodore, I'm expecting to see an older homie. And when I finally seen the L Brothers, and this is in 63 Park, Theodore's a little kid like me.
Mm-hmm.
Jazzy
Yeah.
J, a little kid like me. And
Yeah.
I would probably say, man, like, they were probably like hip hop's first prodigies,
Yeah.
because Theodore was cutting way beyond his years, man.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you a little story about that. Okay.
Please do.
Okay. So now, what I told you before, it used to be DJ Flash, the Amazing Mean Gene, and the Disco Beat, and Easy Mike, right?
Okay.
Now, what happened was Flash was living with the Livingstons, with Gene and them. G He used to teach Theodore how to DJ, but Gene didn't want Flash teaching Theodore how to DJ. So there became a confrontation between them, because when Gene used to leave the house, he would have Theodore standing on milk crates teaching. This is Flash had Theodore standing on milk crates teaching them how to DJ. And so Gene had told Flash, I don't want you teaching him how to DJ, And Gene doubled back one day and found out that Flash was teaching Theodore how to DJ. And that's what broke Gene and Flash up. And that when they broke up, that's when they formulated the L Brothers.
Okay.
That's how the L Brothers got formulated.
Well, I got to say this too, because people are going to say, like, I lived all the way on the other side of town, like, rather,
Right.
170 by the Sparkle, all of this.
Oh yeah, by the Sparkle, the
Right. But like,
Executive
say,
Playhouse and all
where
that.
these cats is all the way on the other side of town, but how we went back and forth was, back then we all had train and bus passes.
Right.
So let's just say Khalif had a bus pass and I had a train pass. Khalif might come to me one day, yo, man, I got to go downtown. Can I hold your train pass? Hey, man, no problem. Yo, man, I got to go across town. Can I borrow your bus pass? So that's how we kind of travel. And then, and listen, when we wasn't hopping on the back of the bus, or hopping the
Right.
train,
Yeah.
but we all had, train and bus passes. And like, say for me, I just want to throw this brother's name out there, because this is how I really got a chance to get exposed to, like, the L Brothers, Magnificent Seven, Mercedes Ladies. Was I grew up with this brother named Andre Thomas. We call him Artie Green. So Artie Green was from Fox Street and Kelly Street and all of that stuff. So when we was hanging on my side of town, right, it was like, nah, man, this is light, man. Let's go to 63 Park. I'm like, 63 Park? What is 63? We in 64 Park. That was our neighborhood park.
Okay.
He said, nah, bro. And 118. So he's taking me all of these places. And now I'm seeing the people who, and I mean Magnificent Seven, because how I first learned about them was all on cassette.
Okay.
I knew of all these people. Like, this is why I don't like to sit here and lie and say I was at the Sparkle at 9 years. No, I wasn't. It was like, the older, and I'll get into, because my brother was a DJ as well. And we'll get into, and how the crates and
Before we get into that, I got a whole bunch of videos I want you guys to comment on, because
Oh,
we could
man,
go all
okay.
day. So let me
All
try to
right.
get through some of this stuff. Let me deal with this particular thing. This is from last week, and this is about culture. I want to play this for 1 second, and then I want you guys to comment on this as well. Okay, let me do this. Let me find this. Okay, here we go. Okay. Now you guys remember, let me go back. You remember this famous clip right here. We're going to talk about it. We all heard it before, but
Mm-hmm.
I want you guys to.
Thank you for being a voice, with all respect, to my Puerto Rican people and this culture. Puerto Ricans didn't start hip hop at all. My African American brothers created hip hop, whether it was Africa Bambaataa, DJ Kool Herc, Red Alert, let's go back to Grandmaster Theodore. That's my boy.
Okay. Now, the reason why I want to play that is because culture, this whole debate is about culture, right? This
Mm-hmm.
whole debate is about, I noticed that people on the other side of this argument don't want to deal with culture. Now, why I played that particular video, let me tell you why I played that. And I've heard it so many times, but one day it clicked. Batch was actually speaking about culture. What do I mean by that? He said Puerto Ricans didn't create hip hop. It was our African Americans who did that. Now, he listed names who were not African Americans. Two of them for
Right.
sure have Caribbean backgrounds. So, what that means is that in Batch's eyes, he saw them as Black American, meaning the culture that he saw and that these brothers represented was a Black American culture. He probably had no idea that these guys had Caribbean background because the dominant culture was Black American. And so this is what I'm talking about, how culture tells the story of what hip hop is and where it came from. Your thoughts?
Okay, can I ask Mr. Khalif a question? Now, obviously, I went to his parties as a kid. So I'm meeting him for the first time this evening. And I'm going to speak on what I saw. And brother, please correct me if I'm wrong. Let me speak on something which has been definitely a very volatile topic. Let's talk about the B-boys.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, again, because I lived over there by Herc, my first introduction was the Herculoids. Herculoids to the dance floor, right? Now we all know what that meant, right? Then, okay, like I said, really, the next two was only because of where I lived, and it was definitely DJ Smokey and the Smokatrons. As far as B-boys, they were a problem. Now, when I did go see Flash at Mitchell's gym, right? It was the Casanovas, but the Casanova, one dude could have been security, B-boy, all and graffiti artist all in one dude, you know. So, and I was having this conversation, right? And then of course, like, you know, we knew of the Zulus, but let's just say, and Khalif, please correct me if I'm wrong. If you went up to Forest Projects or you was on the 9, people knew how to was b-boying, just all. Oh, so it wasn't this whole thing, this crew, that crew, that crew. It was more or less like, and this is what I got to say. There was, I got a bone to pick with Khalif, and I'm going to say this in a second. There were other dances that we wanted to aspire to, and he can elaborate on the freak. But this is where I got to tell something to brother Khalif. Khalif, Breakout, Bambaataa, Herc, and them were responsible for a lot of, excuse my French, ass whoopings. Meaning that when we were 12, right, and we knew we had to be home at a particular time, some of us stayed out later than we were supposed to, and we had to face that music when we got home. That's the first generation of hip hop. Sometimes, and Khalif, am I lying? Because this happened when I was a little older. It was not unheard to see a parent coming through the crowd with the belt.
Mm.
Yeah,
Through the
they used to come they used not to cut you off, but they used to come to the MC, whoever the MC was at the table, and say the kid's name and everything, and then we get on the mic and be like, so and so, if you in the party, come up to the front. Your mama wants you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And do you see the mother dragging the
Yeah,
kid out
yeah,
by his
yeah,
hair
man.
and
Y'all,
stuff
y'all
like
was
that? Yeah.
responsible for a lot of ass whoopings, man. A lot of ass whoopings, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, those
Yeah, that's how it used to
yeah,
be.
yeah. But you know something? I just want to say before we get to this next piece, was
Mhm.
so unfortunate what happened, and I'm just saying, even from the '80s on, they never knew what it was like to have a whole schoolyard as a dance floor. They
Right,
didn't
right.
know.
Now,
Go ahead.
yeah, getting back to that b-boy thing real quick, because I know you want to show the clip, Truth, but back in the day, all of us was b-boys before was MCs and DJs. Flash
Mm-hmm.
used to be a b-boy. You know what I mean? Mean
Yeah.
Gene was a b-boy. Everybody started out like that. We started out as b-boys. You know what I mean? And then we moved on to become, the MCs and the DJs of the crew. You know what I mean?
What do you
But
say about people who say that you guys weren't really b-boys or breakers? What do you say to
that is
that?
I'll
definitely
say
false
we
because
were the original b-boys because we the ones that started it. You see, you have, we left it alone, like I said,
Right,
and we became
yes,
the MCs and the
amen.
DJs, and then it got brought back later. You know what I mean?
right,
And that's
right.
where other cultures came into it, because they
But
brought it
but
back.
but but you know something that they don't, meaning that y'all don't get credit for. It wasn't just the b-boy. It was the clothes.
Yeah, the clothes, yeah.
These cats was wearing Kangos. Now, mock necks. What bling
The
was
mock
a
necks,
medallion.
the
You had
British Walkers,
Playboys.
Playboys,
The
yeah.
coat of choice was not no fur. It was a quarter field.
Porterfield,
Quarter
yep.
field. That's what these dudes. So when they talk about like when the Pumas and this, listen, man. When we got those checks from Summer Youth, we were like wolf packs, and this is these were Jewish people that had clothing
Going to
stores.
the Jew
Jew
man.
went up to Jew
Yep.
Man. Thank you,
To
and
the
that's
Jew man. Yep.
where the beginning of, let's say, the gear came into. So when they talk about culture, listen, the music was coming out of black households, man.
Right, right.
They were coming out of black households. The dance, and like Brother Khalif said, the dance came and went when Latinos started picking it up. But this is the part that I really got to say is when, let's say, the New York Breakers or Rocksteady picked up b-boying, the streets gave these dudes love. It was never no resistance. It was like, word,
Right,
that's what y'all doing?
right.
Okay. And then when you
We
seen
gave
like
them
the stuff
love.
that they were doing eventually, like, okay, I see you, you know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it was,
There was no doubt we gave them
yeah,
love.
they
You know what
gave,
I mean?
listen,
There was no hatred on nobody or
no,
nothing
no,
like that. We were glad for them for bringing that back and everything like that there. You know what I mean? But there was never no animosity or anything.
but
The problem with it is now is that people want to take ownership. They want to say because they was doing that when they started doing it, that's when it started,
Right.
or and they trying to put themselves, they trying to move the goalposts back
well,
and put
I'll say
themselves
this.
in it
I'll
earlier.
say this, and I already know the answer, right? But I want to hear it from Brother Khalif. There was a big difference in the shift of the demographics between 75 and 80. Like, say, in that 5 years, definitely the Latinos were no longer hanging out by the, and when I say Latinos, it wasn't just like a straightforward. There was definitely Latinos in, like, say, like the 75s or 76. But when, like, to say the difference of the comfort level by, like, say, late 70s, they were definitely comfortable in being in the parks, where
Mhm.
it was like a slow it was a slow thing. And so when you heard, like, I didn't know that Bambaataa was Caribbean or Flash until I became an adult, because when I seen how these dudes move, it was no different from my brother down
See,
Yeah.
the hall
yeah, that's the
or
thing. That's the
Well,
go
that's what I'm
ahead.
saying about how culture is so important, and people overlook that. It's, I call it the proximity argument. We all agree, right,
Yeah.
that Latinos and blacks live in close proximity to each other, and so we're going to
Right.
see each other. We're going to be around each other. But in order to really understand where something comes from, you have to look at the culture. If you don't look at the culture, for example, we know, for example, if you go in a Puerto Rican's home, their culture is different than a black home, right? But what
Right.
right.
it, what
Right.
was different on the street, you'll see more of a black home's culture on the street when in terms of hip hop than you do from a Puerto Rican home.
Well,
That's
can I just say this, and because there's one part that is always or very slept on, not slept on, because not spoken on,
mhm,
a part of the culture, like especially early on, and I said that was so prevalent from my eyes, is especially with the Zulus, was the presence of the five percenters. Now, like
Okay,
when I
yeah.
looked at the Zulus, it was like, like the names, like, you listen, man, you go to Bronx River, let's say 76, 77, most of the cast was wearing kufis with the tassels,
mhm,
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and that was their thing. But now if you went, let's say, to a Magnificent Seven party, it was like more of a hip hop thing. So it wasn't like a one dimensional thing. Like Breakout and them, they had a whole different flavor, because like, those parties that y'all threw at, like, say, Evander Childs or the T Connection, or even places like
Hmm.
Truman High School. That's another thing. Like the
Hmm.
high schools, I don't know what y'all did back then, but y'all was able to get up in them high schools back then.
Yeah. 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 It started out with I want to say Ray Chandler, because Ray Chandler kind of opened up that he was the manager for the Furious Five. I'm trying to think, it might have been earlier than Ray Chandler though, because it might have been Breakout on them uptown, up by Gun Hill. 'Cause I think Evander Childs was one of the first schools that let us in, because it was a while before we was able to do it in Morris High School, and I think Kaz got us in Morris High School,
right.
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, let me.
But I wanted to say something about what you mentioned earlier with Bam
Okay,
and who
Bam,
did you
Bam,
say?
Clue
Bam
Hurt.
and Flash, right?
Bam,
Bam and Flash. The thing with that we didn't know, because I was a Zulu also, but I was down with them before there was a Zulu Nation.
Okay.
I was down when it was the Bronx
right,
River
right. That's right.
Organization and all of that. I was there from way back the beginning. So you never knew Bam was Caribbean or anything, because and this is the thing with him with Flash, because I know both of these brothers personally and been around them for years, right?
Hmm.
And you never knew anything like that, because they never presented themselves like that, or in that, they always acted black like us, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
And always
And
would
the same
have black people around them.
yeah, the same thing
right.
can be
They-
said for the Afro Latinos too, because you had a lot. I think that's where the subject comes up, because, like, say, they may find someone who, because a lot of, and this is a whole cultural thing, a lot of Afro Latinos identified it with us, and that's just keeping it real.
right.
So that's a
Hmm.
whole nother
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
within.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It wasn't like I don't want to say, but it wasn't really cool or hip. You know what I mean? It was more cool or hip to be one of us.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Herc. Herc, see, he talking different now.
Right.
Oh
But
Yeah, I
wow,
want to.
back
I
I'm
want to.
glad
I
you
then,
want to.
said
I,
that.
I
back
want to
then,
play something in reference. I got so much to want to play. So let me get through these
okay, go ahead.
videos, and then
Okay,
then we
okay.
could. Now this is an old video, but it's pertinent, because when we talk about Latinos in hip hop, it's important to set the record straight. So I'll put a couple of clips together. So this is not a long thing. So let's play that.
How was it to be one of the early, you know what I mean? Early Puerto Ricans in this hip hop game, man. Like, because you was a pioneer. Hip hop wasn't something that a lot of Puerto Ricans was doing at the time, correct?
That is correct. That's correct. It was an experience, just something that I just had to try it, and
How did you get into it? Who introduced you to hip hop? What got you? Who got you rapping?
well, you know what? I was coming from a baseball game in St. Mary's Park, and right there at Mars is where AJ and them lived. That they were playing. There was some music. I didn't know it was them. There was music there, and to I'll be honest, a nice, beautiful young lady walked by, and I followed her in.
Mm.
And as AJ was cutting the records, I could already envision when the next cut was coming in, and I'm just kind of like close your eyes, and it was coming. And in one of those moments, I looked up, and he called me over, and you know how that goes at the block parties. Once you go under the ropes, you were down.
Mm.
And
Now at this party, where was this party at?
this party was at the Moore Houses.
The Moore Houses. This
Yeah,
is
St.
those
Mary's
are
Park,
projects?
149th.
That's where AJ used to live, 149th Street.
That's where AJ lived at. Yeah, him and Lovebug was over there.
Hey, can I tell you something real funny?
And at that party, was it mad? It was mad black people in there.
It was nothing but. It was nothing but.
Nothing but.
Nothing but.
Nothing but. And in the dark, see me, I looked like I was black too.
All right. So again, he's saying from his experience, again, we're not saying that there were no Puerto Ricans at all. And I think we gotta constantly stress that because clearly there
Yeah.
were. The question
Yeah, of course.
is,
This is the
yeah,
Bronx,
the
man. This is the
question,
Bronx back
right?
in the
The question
day.
is, how many? Was it a lot of them, or was it one and two? I remember one or two because I remember not Coca Rock. Oh my God, what name slips me right now? Charlie Rock. There we go, Charlie Rock.
Oh,
When
Charlie
he
Rock.
said,
Yeah, that's my
when he
man, Charlie
said,
Rock. That's my
when he
brother.
was asked that question, he said, "Yeah, there was a few, but it wasn't a dominant thing." Cass says the same thing.
Nah, it
It wasn't a
wasn't.
dominant
It
thing. It was
wasn't.
just a few, you know.
It was like sprinkles. It was
Right,
sprinkles of them. You might see one or two or three, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
right.
It wasn't like now. You know what I mean? Where you see a whole crew of them like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well,
That's why.
I just wanted to ask a question.
Mhm.
And this is where, as they say, the proof is in reality. When it comes to the old school jams at what is that? Is it Claremont? Not Claremont Park. Where they throw the old school joints? Crotona Park.
Oh, Katona,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, Katona and Claremont are kind of like,
Yeah, they both
yeah.
like
Well,
one and the
Katona, yeah,
same. But the point that I was
yeah.
making, anytime you go to an old school jam, what do you see mostly in there? Like if you go to Crotona Park, anytime you look at any of them folks, it is, pretty much on how, hip hop was. And this really became an issue because of and I just really want to say this. The people who spoke on this stuff, I definitely got respect for. Meaning, let me get to KRS, let me say Busta Rhymes. I won't get into the Fat Joe thing. That's a whole nother conversation. But what I wanted to say is the comments that they made about the origins of hip hop, they did not come up in the 70s. They may have been around, but especially like cats like Busta Rhymes, these are dudes who came into hip hop later on. And so to say it was never a thing of we were trying to control some type of narrative or anything. We didn't, it wasn't our narrative. It wasn't. But one thing I could definitely say is that when I say they, I'm talking about Khalif's and them story are not told because, yes, I have to agree with him. Herc speaks a lot differently now than he did, like, you know, early on in hip hop. He would say, "Oh man, you know, I was influenced by the brothers, and you know,
Right. Yeah.
that was
He
how I
even
rocked
says
it."
that. If you look at his earlier YouTube videos, he says that.
Yeah,
He's telling you, yeah, no, I didn't, it wasn't cool to be a Jamaican, so I didn't, he tried to dress black, he tried to act black.
but
And see, the thing with this whole thing is right, when you look at them, like with the Bam, Flash, and Herc thing, right? Okay, even though they all have Caribbean backgrounds, they were not trying to be Caribbean. They weren't doing anything with a Caribbean aesthetic. Everything they were doing, they were playing black music. They were hanging around black people. They were dressing black. They were, everything they were doing was, so there was never like this Caribbean aesthetic with any of them. Because that's why even Coke La Rock didn't know that Herc was
Yeah,
Jamaican
you
for a
you
whole
know what?
year of him being
but
around
but
them.
Just
can
say
I
that. Hold,
can I just add one thing,
hurry up,
Truth,
because
real quick?
I got to play this one too. Because he
Well,
just
let me
spoke
just
on
say this
something.
real
Go ahead.
quick
Go
about
ahead.
Sedgwick Avenue and 1973, and Khalif can confirm this. Doing a party in the community room was nothing new. We were doing baby showers,
Yeah, we've been doing community room parties before
house,
that. Yeah,
so-called house parties, and all of that. That's
yeah,
what it was called, the community room.
right,
So
Mhm.
that wasn't like
right.
something that was Cindy, her sister's idea. I mean, she saw.
Yeah, I want to speak on that too, of Truth, when you get a
Okay.
chance, because that right
All right.
there. Yeah, but go ahead and play
Let me
your
play
clip,
this
and then
because
I'm
you
gonna speak
because
on
you
that.
mentioned something, Khalif, and I want to play what Coke said. Now, here's the thing. Coke had a lot of opportunities to say what it was like in terms of Puerto Ricans, but you're gonna listen to a few of these clips, and you're gonna notice he doesn't speak about Puerto Ricans or any Latinos in that way, like they were there like that. So I want to play a series of clips that speaks to that. Here we go.
Right.
Dad, I was like, all right, I got to get me a name a little better than the name I had.
Okay, so now you're saying this was the old Hevelo.
Yes.
So now,
Yeah, now it's a
Montefiore.
yeah. Now it's like a welfare center.
Yeah.
But the door was the same. You only had
all
one
the
door.
same? Okay, various ethnicities over here, mostly Latino.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah. But
control over here or run over here, but
it
was
wasn't
it like
that way at the beginning, to a degree. You know, everybody was on different side blocks. Jerome Avenue was Jerome Avenue. Everything up and down here was mostly car dealerships.
right?
Car dealerships, and as you see, to a degree, you had shops, auto shops, that Spanish people.
What was the ethnicity? What was the dominant ethnicity over here?
Here, on this side, it was blacks. Yeah, blacks
Yeah,
ran
really?
down here. And 5%ers stayed more on this side over here.
Wow.
You had 5%ers. They used to go to a club called the Three Roses on the next block, 176. My man Kasim, Mathematics, Brasheen, them type of brothers that was righteous. Was down the block.
So you saying us African Americans
Yeah.
dominated?
Yeah.
African
Like I
Americans
said,
dominate.
nothing
Wow.
personal.
Right.
When I went to junior high school, I only had maybe 3 Spanish people in my class. 1 Jamaican, maybe 1 other nationality. And
Right.
like I said again, cats couldn't tell their nationality when they was here. Because,
Right.
I guess they was outnumbered. So you didn't let nobody really know who you was.
You ever heard of Sugar and Spice?
We used to go to the place right there on Burnside Street.
You didn't know who Herc was Jamaican
For about a year.
about a year, so you didn't even know at that party. You didn't.
Not at that party, Herc had already been around me for a while.
Oh, he was already around. Right. He
Yeah,
started
see, he
hanging
was
out with
already.
y'all.
Yeah, he
Okay.
used to go to parties with us. We
So-
had
Is that when you first started to realize like he's Jamaican or?
Nah,
No, not even then.
I didn't know. Like I said, we was at the center, and Herc's sister, his older sister. See, this is why people say they knew Herc, whatever. His older sister, Josie, she started coming to the night center with us, and she had a fight with one of the neighborhood girls.
Okay.
And her sister beat the girl. She won. And then they wanted to jump her. And I didn't let them jump her. You know what I'm saying? I just like that. It wasn't no, y'all not going to jump her. She had a fight. I walked her all the way home. From here all the way down to Cedric. I walked her home, and she told her brother and her mother and them that, I didn't let them jump her. So their mother said, invite Coke to dinner. And when I came to dinner, they had curry goat, and I never knew that. That's when I learned because his father do talk Jamaican, his mother talk it, but they're Jamaican. I mean, it's no different from meeting a Dominican and a Puerto Rican, you know.
So back then, Herc wasn't talking Jamaican like
Nah,
patois.
he didn't have that. I mean, to me, I mean, it was in him. It was always there. Like I said, I knew guys, and I just seen my friend yesterday, Ramon, that's Dominican, darker than me. And we always laugh because, like I said, I had a fight, and they said they was going to jump me, and he was like, Coke, they going to jump you, get ready. And I was like, how you know that? And he said, I'm Dominican.
Right.
But like I said,
same kind of thing with Jamaica, but Herc, who Herc?
Right. Nobody said their nationality because it wasn't a lot of them. I didn't know Herc was Jamaican for almost a year.
Right, but some people would say, well, didn't you know his accent?
He didn't have that accent.
He didn't have, you know, and I heard that too.
Okay, he didn't have that accent. Herc didn't have that accent.
I heard that. Back then he put, right.
I'm an immigrant from the island of Jamaica, from Kingston, the capital, and I migrated my family to the United States in '67.
I was born in Jamaica.
Okay, he's gonna give us a patois too, you know, right?
I was a Kingston boy.
Yes.
All right, no countryman. Me no we come from I called St. Mary.
I started to go to parties when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And around 18, 19, that's when I started to experiment with my own sound system, as far as, building a sound system.
St. Mary, that's where I come from.
Okay.
Also, Barris Hammond.
Yes.
Is my cousin.
Wow.
So that speaks to culture. Again, like I always say, this tells you it clearly that he was, what do you call it, assimilating into Black American culture.
Exactly.
Now all of a sudden he has his accent, but when he comes to the streets, he has to acclimate to the dominant culture that was there. And so this is how you could tell where a culture, a art form comes from. You examine the culture. How are people interacting in the culture? That's how you could tell.
Right.
Well, one of the things I wanted to say too, and I just wanted to add, and this part I don't even understand how it's not celebrated, but this is, for my Latino brothers and sisters. Let's say 73, right? And I believe it was either 73 or 74. And the reason why I remember this, because this was an epic event. The Fania All-Stars played Yankee Stadium, and I'm on that side of town. The reason why I remember this, because they were lit. They were lit. And the point that I was making, 73, 74, 75, many of them were definitely Fania All-Stars. They were hustling. And it's not to say that you can hustle and still come to the jams, but in other words, we lived together, but they had their identity as well, and we were totally cool. If you had a block party, it would not be unheard of to be hearing R&B in one part of the block, and then you see people hustling in another part of just one block party. And like I said, the kids would go back and forth. Now, this is what I definitely feel, because like I was born in 63. So let's say at 73, I'm 10 years old. So I'm talking about from the cats that I came up with. I'm not talking about the Sparkle, Mean G. See, I don't like to talk on things of eras that I didn't rock with. But my era, the comfort level changed. The comfort and hip hop brought that. Hip hop brought it where, listen, man, if you wanted to come to the party, cool in the game. It wasn't like, even when the numbers started changing and no, like it wasn't never no 50-50 or nowhere near that. But what I'm trying to say is when they did start coming to the party in more numbers. So let's just say, more numbers. It wasn't no one was looking at them side-eyed or mean. No, because they were a lot of them was our friends from when we were, we went to school with. And
well, the thing is this. We being in the Bronx, right? And I come from the South Bronx. I lived on that side over there on University, and I lived over down on Cedric Avenue. I lived in River Park Towers at one point. But check this out. Being in the South Bronx, right? There was no way you weren't gonna interact with and be around Puerto Rican Hispanic people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It was be
Right.
impossible because they were there.
Mm-hmm.
But what we saying is this, like, as far as when we started doing the hip hop thing, I don't even like calling it hip hop. Hip hop kind of started later,
Right,
like in
right,
70,
right.
80 or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You know what I mean? There's a difference between the culture and hip hop. They're not dissimilar, but they're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I will explain that to you in a few minutes. But what I'm trying to say is they were there, but they weren't. They had their thing that they was doing,
Yes.
and we was doing that. Cass said something one time, where he said we were over in the parks DJing, and they was over there playing the
Right,
congas. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of true. You know what I
right.
mean? They didn't want anything to do with this music when we first started doing it. They didn't want, they would, and this is why I told you when we like in 63, the guys are outside the fence, they right
Mm-hmm.
there. They hanging on the fence, but they don't want to come
Let me
inside.
play.
They don't want to be a part
Let
of
me
it.
play this.
But can I just piggyback off of this,
Go
brother?
ahead.
What
Go
he
ahead.
just said, because when all of this was happening, when they throwing up 75, 76, 77, nobody was trying to claim anything pertaining hip hop. Even like the older folks, our parents is like, they wasn't even looking at hip hop as it was music. And definitely, I want to really speak on my older, let's say, Latin big brothers. They used to be, they was into Hector Lavoe. They wasn't trying to hear no Grandmaster Flash. They was
Right.
like, nah, man. They was getting sharp on Saturday night and going to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just talking about
Right.
the dudes
Right.
that were older than me.
And you got to remember too, before hip hop, there was this big disco era
Right,
going
Yes,
on,
right,
yes,
right.
and
yeah.
they was heavily into
That's
that
true.
disco
Well,
That's
the
era.
true.
hustle.
You know what I
Yeah,
That's
mean?
the
true.
So
That's
hustle.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, doing the hustle. That's
And
right.
speaking
Yeah.
on Kaz, I forget the podcast that I think he's a part of. I forget big something.
Him and Chirac on XM radio. I
Well, I'm
can't
not talking
remember the
about that. It's
name.
something on YouTube. But let me
Oh yeah,
play.
he got a
Oh,
Yeah,
podcast. Yeah.
let me play an audio because I can't play like the video because of the copyright. They'll copyright strike me on that one. So
okay.
the question was, would there be hip hop without Latinos? And okay, now so he answers that question, right? Uh
Uh-huh.
some of the brothers on the panel wasn't so sure. Some brothers said maybe, or I don't think so. But now here's Kaz in his own words how he feels about whether or not they still would be hip hop without Latinos. Let me punch that up right quick because it's on my phone. I'm just gonna play it.
Yeah, this ought to be
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Very,
yeah.
very, very.
Yeah, let me see where we are.
I think I know the answer, but this ought
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be
Well,
interesting.
we know what the answer is.
All right.
Hmm.
Okay. Where is that? Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Let me see. Okay.
Perspective, and like I said, I've seen this. I lived it. I live in the heart. I live on Creston Avenue, bro. Wasn't nothing but Puerto Ricans on my block. You understand what I'm saying? And some of the first, friendships that I made were with Puerto Ricans or Latinos,
Same here.
because the things that we had in common. You know what I mean? Me and Wiz, my man, we like to dress. We like to be fly. You know what I mean? He wore Kangos, I wore, this and that. He had, we had a certain style that me and him together was like them dudes. You know what I mean? But he caught a lot of flack from hanging with me. Now, a lot of Latinos, are trying to claim ownership of the culture, and rightfully so. Definitely made major contributions to this thing called hip hop. But don't forget, there was a time when Latin culture, meaning Spanish or Puerto Rican culture, and Black culture was two different things. Even though we lived together in the same areas, it was like you ate Puerto Rican food, I eat Black food, you wear this, I wear that. I play basketball, you play handball. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We on the turntables, y'all on the congas. You know what I mean? You can't deny, you know, that we all exercise a different culture because of the melting pot aspect that we come together. We all in the park. We share the park, nigga. Right. Okay, so y'all in the handball court or the softball court. You have a couple Puerto Ricans playing basketball, but that's predominantly black people playing ball. You know what I mean? And the same thing happened with the music. The music was predominantly black people. And so Puerto Rican, like, yo, that shit is cool too. Or, yo, I got a speaker too. Or I got a turntable. Or, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Came in. But, I mean, just you know, like, and we'll look up in the comments later on and see what people had to say about it. But as far as I'm concerned, and this is my last take on it, I know firsthand the contributions that Latinos have made to hip hop. It's been invaluable. But for you to say that there would be no hip hop without Puerto Ricans, hip hop would have been alive and well. It just would have lacked the contributions of the Latino community. But it still would have went on. It still would have been here.
Hey, hey, what y'all think?
Yeah, well, you know, it would have still went on regardless. And like I said, they revised the breakdancing aspect of it. You know what I mean? And you know, and what they did, they added a little flavor to the
Certainly,
breakdance
certainly, certainly.
compared to what we were doing back in the days, because we were primitive with it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And they reinvented it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
You're breaking up. You're breaking up a little bit, Khalif.
Well, let
okay.
me say something else, because let's speak on the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
Breakdancing is a part of the evolution of hip hop, without a doubt, and I agree 100% of what Brother Khalif was saying. But when you look at the whole picture, okay, because breakdancing didn't last through the
Right.
80s, the 90s, the block. You know, when you talk about like cats like Big Daddy Kane with the two dances and Kid and Play, and what
Mm.
hip hop, let's say, entertainment went on from there. So what, we're gonna just erase all of that? And so when you look at, like, say, when people perform and there's all type of street choreography, you know, you gotta just give credit where it's due. And the point as far as breakdancing, that was never a question of giving them brothers their just due, because the first people who gave them love was the streets.
Yeah.
Right.
It
But
was
I'm
the
saying
streets. It wasn't.
I'm not just saying the breakdance, and I'm talking about, because okay, the whipper whips and the Ruby D's and so on and
Yes.
so forth. You know, they all, like,
Yes.
even, you know, even though you know, even Fat Joe, you know what I mean? Because he's from over there in Tenton Projects. You know, he came from that area. You know, from
Mm-hmm.
Tenton and Forest and all of that. You know, so their contribution. You know, later on in the game, you can't deny. You can't
Right.
No.
deny that
Right.
they brought
But
they
Right.
but
brought
but
something to the game. You know,
but I'm gonna tell
it's
you.
no
I'm gonna
question
say
about
something.
that.
I just wanted to say something about Ruby D and Whipper Whip. I say especially you know, Whipper Whip, because Whipper Whip was really dope. And
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just say a little
he's a
quick
beast.
fun fact. A little quick fun fact about Whipper Whip. Him and his boy Dada Rock was the
Yeah,
original Salt and Pepper. They had routines going back of Salt and Pepper, because you know, Whip was light skinned, his
yeah,
man
and
Dada Rock was dark skinned.
right,
But
right. May rest
let
in
me ask you
peace.
something, Khalif. Do you think, let's say, those cats that was on the outside of the fence on the earlier part of hip hop, do you think seeing cats like well, I'll say more Ruby D, because Whip kind of falls into like Herc and Bam and them, because I didn't even know Whip was Puerto Rican
Yeah,
until,
exactly. You couldn't really tell.
yeah, I
Yeah,
thought he was just a light-skinned dude that can rhyme. But let's say somebody like Ruby D, I would think would, you know, be inspiring for, you know, and it wasn't just Ruby D. There were other people of, let's say, other backgrounds that were rapping as well, but they didn't come to the forefront, like, let's just say, like a Charlie Chase did with the Cold Crush. You know, and I have to say this because he came up with me. and this is one of like the dopest DJs that I know. Well, first let me just say shout out to my brother DJ Amin, which I spoke very little on, but he was the one who helped bring me into this culture, going down to downstairs records, but we can get into that. But like this cat, DJ Ecstasy was the truth, man. Not was, is the truth. He still plays for the Microphone Prince, but he is a dude that was just as talented, if not more, than cats that we're speaking on. So, like, not everybody got a chance to be considered a pioneer that was not talented. So, there are a lot of contributors to hip hop, and this is why I say, like, the Magnificent Seven is a prime example. No, they don't get mentioned when we're talking about the evolution of hip hop. But when you brought up the name, it wasn't like I had to think about it. It was like, oh no, man, these dudes was putting in work, like really putting in work. You know what I mean? So, you know, these people's story, meaning like cats like the Magnificent Seven, K Connection, Mercedes Ladies,
Yeah, the
you
Mercedes
know,
plays
yeah, yo, these were sisters that was hanging with the fellas and then some.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, the Mercedes Ladies, man. So I think because their voices and even like brother Khalil was squashed, and you got other voices that are louder now that, like let's say, like if someone like KRS, who should be respected, or even let's say, Busta Rhymes. I didn't agree with his comments, what he said about our culture, but
Right.
that's
Right.
a whole nother conversation. But again, when you're really speaking on, it was a party where people just got invited, man, and people are throwing these conversations of division. And the sad part about it are people who did not live in that time.
The thing about it is this: we were never on some. Like I said, them brothers was outside the fence, and I'm telling them, come in, it's free.
That's how it
Come in.
was.
You know, we weren't on some selfish. We weren't on some taking ownership like that. You know, we're saying, well, this is ours and you can't be a part of. It was never like that from our perspective. I
Yeah.
think what the problem is when you have these interlopers who are coming in now trying to throw, you know, shit on the wall and see what sticks. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna mention no names, but you know who I'm talking about, Truth. And they just try
Yeah.
to throw crap in the game. And they want to sit there and try to change the narrative. They want to rewrite history. You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
where the problem comes in at, because you got those people that are doing that. And that's not good for the culture. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
not good for the culture because you want to keep it authentic. If you play the role in this, right? Um, play your part, play your role. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
came in, you came in.
Another thing that has happened too, and it's because of the rise of podcasts and YouTube as well, is that you have people who have definitely contribute, but then they overemphasize.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
not, there are some people, it is nothing wrong, and it is not false to say that that breakdancing came and went, and when Latinos came, they definitely, elevated the game.
Yes, no
But
doubt.
I
No
never
doubt.
heard, as a kid, top rock, this rock. But no, I did see people hitting the floor,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
definitely.
We
And
were
and
hitting the floor. We
Yeah,
were hitting the
that's
floor when we first was doing it.
yeah,
right.
And that's
Right.
why,
and
and
Right.
when they were
that's
saying
another
that,
false
like,
narrative when they talk about we weren't hitting the floor, we were just top
that is
rocking. We
totally
never even
false.
heard nothing. We never heard the term top rocking. I mean,
No,
that was,
no,
you
no.
know.
And let me ask you a question. Since we're on the subject, I know I haven't. I never even heard the term rocking this stuff that they talking
Yeah.
about that came out of Brook. I was what? Like, huh? Like,
Yeah, nah, we weren't using that kind of terminology. Maybe Brooklyn was, we weren't.
Yeah,
And not in the
no.
right.
Bronx, we weren't,
And
you know?
breakdancing, I'm a little, I'm the school that came right under these cats, but it is definitely safe to say breakdancing did not come from Brooklyn. These cats, I remember when I couldn't go, because I never been to the Sparkle. Like, I'm 10 years old. Why am I going to talk about the Sparkle or the Tunnel? But my older brothers, they friends are talking about, Herc and all of this stuff. So when I'm 12, now I can go to Cedar Park. I'm 13, I can go to 104 Park. I can go cross town to 63, 118. And then I might come to my block and do a little something. And then now I got dudes that came up behind me that said, "Oh man, you influenced me." And I'm not trying to, get on no soapbox, but I had when I really thought about it, truth, when I knew I was going to meet Khalif, I said, "Well, it was cats like Khalif that made it possible for me, because like now I'm getting hip hop from Magnificent Seven, Mercedes Ladies, the L Brothers. So now when I come on my block, the little dudes who were me 4 years ago that can't go to 63. Now they telling me 20 years later, oh, they was influenced by me, but I was like that first generation. Like I said, I met this dude for the first time tonight. If I went to a Magnificent Seven jam with the ropes, it wasn't no barricades or anything, I already knew that I can't go behind the ropes and just like, hey, what's this record or this? I mean, I'm not saying that they would have, lumped me up, but it would have been stern, like little homie. No.
Yeah.
Get behind. But that didn't even happen because we already knew as young dudes, like if we was 13 and stuff like that, we knew unless you were invited, do not bring your ass behind the ropes. And the whole thing, it was like this whole thing when they talking about break beats and stuff like that, all you have to do is look at the music that they played. If you want to know where the culture came from, look at the music in early hip hop.
Right. Exactly. You know what? Let me finish this video where let me do this because we're almost done with the videos, but I want to, since I've spent time putting it together, I want to play it. So
Right,
let's
yeah.
let me finish this out. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Let's bring this out. Okay, we're gonna finish this out. It's not
Wait, can I say something to
Sure.
Melanated Warrior?
Warrior.
He says, please stop calling these people our brothers. They are not our people. Okay, listen, brother, I respect your position, but I have to tell you my truth and my reality is that no, these people weren't just my neighbors. These people were people that I fought with. They are our people. This division here, this black and brown. Listen, man, this is not where we should go with this. But I don't want to get too deep with that. But our reality is like, no, we grew up with these folks, and they are peoples. And not just me, I'm pretty sure it's the same for brother Khalid as well. So even though you have the thing, and I understand where the brother is coming from, because now you have people who were not there, and let me specify, who were not there, and when you put in these seeds of division, these are the things that come up now, and this is the part of that was the difference, man.
But you know what? Let me tell you, and Melanated Warriors, not that I need to defend him. He's been right with me from day one.
Oh, he's a soldier.
He's been right with me from day one. And what I would say about him, he's going to defend the culture. Now, maybe his choice of words may not be the best, but I understand where it comes from.
I do too.
I understand where it comes from also.
I don't, me personally, God knows I don't hate nobody. You know, but I get accused of being anti-Latino because I tell the truth and I'm holding people accountable. And so we can't mix up from, people trying to tell the truth and call them races and anti this and anti.
Yeah,
Then
I
you're
agree.
you're creating division. You
I
know,
agree.
but don't accuse me of creating division when I'm just simply trying to tell the truth. I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I will acknowledge if you did something, like I always say, you were there from the beginning. I acknowledge that. You guys took break into a new level. I acknowledge that. You're a very important part of the culture. I acknowledge all of that. All I'm saying is that this is a cultural thing. It doesn't come from your culture. Now, because of me saying that, that's offensive to some people. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so they're
Yes.
accusing me of being divisive, but that's not the case. I'm just
No,
trying to
because they
tell the
want to
truth.
live. They want to live a fantasy. They don't want to deal with the reality. And the thing about the truth, right? Truth is that truth hurts. And
Right.
they want to, because it is what it is. It is what it became. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Can I pick it?
truthfully speaking, right? 20, 30 years ago, they wouldn't have gave a nothing about this. You know what I'm
Can,
saying? If it
can I
didn't do what it did,
can I
you know what I
please
mean?
piggyback off of that? Can I please piggyback off of
Go
that?
ahead.
What this is all about is what this brother just said. Not what hip hop was, what it has become. Hip
Right.
hop has impacted the world. Now
Right.
you
It's
have
a
people,
global phenomenon.
and I'm not talking about the Ruby D's or the Whips. You have people coming out the woodworks that wasn't in the trenches, that on these podcasts, or like say they might get like one of the cats from back in the day, and they want to try to direct the question where you putting people on the spot, and a lot of times we wasn't even rocking like that. We were kids. We were kids. And what it actually did, and I know some people ain't gonna want to hear it, it brought the neighborhoods together. And even if it was 90-10 or 80%, 20%, like say, because like I graduated high school in 81. After 81, no, as a you wasn't trying to be a rapper at 19 years old. You was trying to go to the Fever, Broadway International, 371. You was going in a different lane. So it wasn't like at 22 years old, you trying to be in the park with the kids. So like the kids, I don't want to say kids, the people that came up in that 80s era, okay, maybe they might have seen something different. But their story needs to be told. And because you have, and I don't want to disrespect Herc, but he speaks a lot differently about hip hop now than
Right.
he did before. And listen, that's on him. I am not going to sit up here and say what he should or shouldn't do. But what I can say is people like Herc and like this brother that is on the panel with us had to see what they laid down and put the foundation for. Now, of course, other people are telling their story. Come on now. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Let me play this. We're almost done with the videos. I just want to get through it. Some of the things we already kind of talked about. Where is it at? Okay. So
I could hear music, and I followed that music, my into that music, and I bumped into the L Brothers. I bumped into the L Brothers.
63 Park, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gene, Cardio.
Mean Gene Cordio, Grand Wizard Theater, Theodore at the time, Kevy Kev, Robbie Rob, and Starsky. Those were the names at the time.
Busy B Starsky.
No, it used to be Starsky.
Right.
And then because Busy used to like to play on everybody's equipment. So Master Rob called him Busy B because he'd be go like pollinating everywhere he goes.
I never knew that.
That's how he got that name, Busy B.
That's butter.
And the funny thing, Jamal and fellas, I want to say this about AJ because his first MC was MC Kenny G.
Kenny G.
And I also want to let people know that AJ baby mama Jean lived in more houses. AJ actually lived with his grandmother across the street in 550 Caldwell, St. Mary's, on the second floor. I'm gonna tell you something. Guess who lived next door to AJ's grandmother?
Who?
Pigmeat Markham.
Whoa. I wish I had a bomb to drop right there, but
Word up.
we'll just go with the clap and shit.
Avenue, that's where he lived at. Apartment 2A. She lived in apartment.
See, I think what I think the frustration by people that are calling themselves foundational Black Americans. Really, I just want to say we're melanated people, first of all. I don't even like saying the word black.
Yes.
But anyway.
Let me first shout out to Lord Jamal for this clip. Let's go.
Anyway, there's a lot of frustration because it seems like every time we come up with something, there's always outside forces that's trying to take some sort of credit away from us. Like we have no doubt that Puerto Ricans were there and contributing to what we were doing in the beginning. You know what I mean? But it's one thing to contribute to something, and it's another thing to actually have created it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's all that we're trying to say. Like, why do you think it's so important to right now, especially for a lot of Puerto Ricans, to feel like they have some sort of, I don't know, need to make some sort of stake?
Can't hear
like that.
too well.
What do you think that's about? Because a lot.
If I'm gonna jump ahead to even before what you're gonna ask, I don't like. It's like, let's say we're shooting a movie, right? People just want their credits up there.
Yes.
I just want my credit up there. That's all.
Right.
Because look at it now. There's just rapping in every language you could possibly imagine.
Thank you.
Japanese, Chinese, Russian, Italian. We started some shit. It started with us.
FU2 said, Fat Joe said Latinos created 50% of hip hop while on the Angie Martinez show a few weeks ago, which is where this convo became a topic. And that's really where this all started from. You know what I mean? And we're just trying to get some clarity.
All right. Now, you know what's sad about this whole thing? This video was done almost, I believe, 3 years ago.
Lord Jamal got a lot of hate for this, man.
What I'm saying is we're still talking about the same topic 3 years ago. So what that tells me? It tells me that there are forces out there who is insistent in pushing this co-creation narrative.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if it has anything to do with the museum. I don't know.
There's an agenda. There's definitely an agenda. But you have to understand something, man, and I need people to know this. I need this for your people in the audience to know this, man. This culture is a foundational Black American culture. We created it. We started it. I am a pioneer, and I'm telling you that this is a foundational Black American culture. We created it. I'm not saying that other people didn't come in and contribute to it later. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But I am going to tell you that this is a foundational Black American culture. We created it.
Let me ask you something, brother. Can I refresh some memories, if you don't mind? Because let's talk about what happened in the 80s. Hip hop took a Black conscious route.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Brand Nubians, right? Let's talk about the Poe Righteous Teachers. Let's talk about Lakim Shabazz.
Yeah.
We can't leave out the homie Rakim.
Right.
In the
Right.
80s, you had kids walking around with leather medallions of
Medallions. Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Of Africa.
Right.
So let me remind the people of what the 80s was.
Okay.
It wasn't just rock steady and listen, peace and blessings to them. But
Yeah, because it was the
let's
gods and the earths. It the five
right.
percenters. Yeah.
And how they broke this up. We can get into the Jungle Brothers, Queen Latifah. See, people know Queen Latifah as this actress and stuff.
Yeah.
Queen Latifah, that whole
Yeah.
movement,
Right.
and then it went
Right.
to Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, but
Um,
you gotta if you want to talk about that, right, bruh? You gotta talk about what happened. You see what I'm
KRS.
saying? What happened was the industry found it more profitable to have the brothers calling each other hoes and bitches and
Right.
niggas and
I was
shit.
getting ready to
You know what I'm
say,
saying? And that's what happened. It everybody lost the conscious rap
Right.
wasn't cool anymore. Now
no,
this
and
gangster rap.
the next phase, like you said, was the gangster rap.
Right, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what
Yeah,
became, because it was more profitable to have us, talking about killing each other, selling drugs and degrading our women and stuff like that there. That became,
right.
but see, that was part of the agenda also. See that, because all of this is an agenda. Getting back to what you were saying, Truth, there's an agenda. There's an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, we know that they're trying to take this out of our hands and give it
Mm-hmm.
to somebody else. And this is not something new, right? Because they've done this we've created every genre of music that there is. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? From the blues coming up out of the cotton fields, you know what I'm saying? To
Right.
country music, to rock and roll, to jazz, you name it. We created every music genre. And what did they do? They took it. You know what I mean? And claimed it. They claimed
Mm-hmm.
rock and roll. Beyonce did a country album, what was it, last year? And look at all the firestorm that she got.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Like, but
yeah.
Right.
that's that we created. That's our
Right.
music.
Well,
Right.
well,
Right. Right. Right.
and listen, I don't want to be the dead horse, but this is the part that um really I am not cool with. The whole position, like funk is definitely the parent of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is a new talk that it came from the ashes of Latin music.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Come
no.
on, man. And like
Yeah,
I said,
that's
and
total nonsense.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I can say what I heard from these cats. Now they talk about Pigmeat Martin,
Mhm.
but I heard y'all play Sport. Remember Sport? It was a full moon in the middle of June,
Yeah,
summer
yeah,
'69.
yeah.
We all knew who Gil Scott Heron was.
Right.
And like say, it wasn't everything was beat, beat, beat. Like say, I don't want to use the word intermission, but if they played In the Bottle, oh Lord, okay,
Is
okay.
that Shot Rock?
No,
No. 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 No.
Oh,
No.
no.
No. Let me play. You could continue. Let me play this, and then because you talk about, here's another thing about what the Latinos try to do. They try to discourage. I mean, discredit a person like Sheila E. Oh, she's not Puerto Rican.
oh, that's
She
Shirley.
never
Okay.
she never led a salsa band, so she can't speak. This is the same woman who said that you can't the only way you could use clave or in funk music. Okay, let me phrase this how she said it. Uh you can't apply the Afro-Cuban rhythms to funk music because it's a different metric. All right. And of course, the whole narrative from certain individuals saying, oh, the Afro Latino influence on funk. She's saying it's not. But I want to play this clip where she talks about funk music and its relationship to hip hop. I believe it. I hope I got it the right marker. Let's go.
He didn't walk away from it. It's just he wasn't afraid to do, and be and dream.
You worked, I think I might have met you when you did Crush Groove.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, because I was friends
You-
with Russell and those guys.
Yes, that's what it was.
What do you think the relationship is between hip hop and funk? Are they cousins? Is funk the father? How are they related?
Funk is the father, yes. Yes, funk is the father, and a lot of the hip hop player, as far as I'm concerned, hip hop artists have taken that, you know, and have either tried to duplicate that in their own way to make it what it is now, or they sample it and they add on top of what that already is. But they always go back to what it used to be. You know, that's I think that's part of the part of the hip hop sound is going back to what it used to be, sampling it and bringing it to adding again your own personality and who you are, and put that on top of it.
Do you think that that we talked a bit about?
All right. So again, here is a professional musician who has a lot of credibility.
Well, let's
in
just say
music.
this. Let's just say this. Shout out to Sheila E. because she comes from percussion royalty. She's not someone. She comes now. We getting into some music stuff now. The thing, this is her father, right? Now, if they want to speak on the credibility, this is someone who was playing on classic Marvin Gaye songs in her teens. Forget the stuff that she did with Prince and later on in life. Her pops helped lay the percussion foundation for Brother Santana. So the thing about it is his perspective was a little revolutionary because he was the one that realized that these young brothers was creating their own movement called funk, and he told his daughter, follow the one. Because there's other videos where she gets into that. But what these cats were playing, right? Listen, to say that they played James Brown would be an understatement, but it was other things.
We played all kinds of artists. I mean, it
Yes,
wasn't,
yes,
James
yes.
Brown was one of the more heavily sampled artists, but we played, I mean, we played Queen, we played Toys in the Attic, Dennis.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, we played, if it
But see, now this is what I wanted to say, Mr. Khalif, is that as I got older, I actually got into music. And believe it or not, those songs that you were playing all followed the one, like that.
Yeah.
One, tat, tat. I'll give another example. Billy Squire. Boom, tat, toom, toom, tat, one, tat, toom, toom, tat, one. So the point that I was making, and this is what me and Truth was touching on, was that people think it was just James Brown and his beats, but it really turned, or I should say the reach that James Brown did to music is often not spoke on, because it went definitely, a lot of those songs that y'all played had the ingredients of the ones, but it was like even Craft Uric Express. That was the one. That was the one. Now I got to just digress for a quick second to Mr. Truth Savior. When they talk about like the origins of hip hop production, you got to understand, as a musician, there were other things that I was seeing. Like in Queens, there was a song called Jamaica Funk. I'm bringing that
Tom
up.
Brown, yeah.
Okay, now I'm bringing that up, Mr. Truth. I'm going to bring up two people who are around my age. As a musician, you're talking about a young Omar Hakeem. Omar Hakeem, for those who don't know, is a drummer who played with everybody. I'm going to just leave it there. His also Marcus Miller. The point I'm saying, Truth, as a musician, could you imagine if those two young brothers was the rhythm section of early hip? We're talking like, and no disrespect to Pumpkin, but there are levels to this music stuff. You had young dudes that were operating on a high octane level. So let me just say that, man. So, I don't know what was in the water in Jamaica, Queens, but the Najee came out of Jamaica, Queens. Bernard Wright. So it wasn't just, it was two things, and I got to tell a quick story on Dougie Fresh.
Okay, hurry up, because what I want to do, you can tell
Then
that
you know
story.
what? Then go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
because I want to keep this under probably like 2 hours. I want to really go over 2 hours, and I want to be able to bring some people up,
Okay.
and so it doesn't get too long. But before we do that, let's do this. This video was titled. It was titled about Coke Rock. So let's sum up the Coke Rock statement and your beliefs or your views on Puerto Ricans and hip hop. When do you think it actually became something where it was just a few in terms of the years to more of a larger group of them being a part of it? Can you try to narrow that down in your mind as you saw it? Because this would be your experience. Okay, go ahead, brother Khalif. You go first.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say from 75 to about, I'm gonna say around 77, 78. You started to see more of them in terms of they were sprinkled in around, 75, 76, maybe one or two, what I mean? 77, 78, you started seeing more come into the, into the fold. And around by the time 79 came around, you already know, because that Kington the third and Rapper's Delight. So, they were definitely, that's when around 77, I think, is when they started bringing back the breakdancing, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? So, it was more like that. What was the other question you said?
No. Like, I just wanted
He
you to
was
give
yeah,
your impression of your perspective as when they became one or two, like Kaz would describe or Charlie Rock would describe. Oh yeah, there was a few here or there, sprinkle here or there. From
Yeah.
those years to when they became more of a fixture in hip hop.
I'd say around
well,
77 they became more of a fixture. I'd say,
Okay.
yeah, that
well,
would be the year.
I will say this, and this is something that nobody really touched on with the Bronx, is that there was a great migration in the 70s, and that's of white folks. So let's just say when I was in first grade, like half of the students in my class were white. And just from first to sixth grade, you seen that demographics change.
Mm-hmm.
And as the decade progressed, more you seen more Spanish people, move in the neighborhoods. And because let's say like the early part of, let's say around 75 or let's say 74, Sedgwick Avenue was like an upscale River Park Towers. That was upscale. Like
Yeah.
that was like working class families. It wasn't like Kelly Street and all of that stuff. And when you went even further uptown, like on the concourse, it wasn't as you went further uptown, it was considered, more pleasant, but that all changed within one, really one decade, man. And I think for the way that we came up, we didn't come up in the gang culture. So let's say I have to agree. I have to agree definitely by the end of the 70s is when you started seeing definitely, Latinos being involved. But it would even, let's just say, I'll even be more controversial. Even by the end of 79, it wasn't no 50-50. You
Okay.
just
Nah, it
seen
wasn't
more.
50-50.
No.
Yeah, I'm
Like
definitely
I
not
don't
saying that.
like I said, maybe that happened like later on in the 90s or something. But
Yeah, I'd
like
say
when
after like the hip hop thing came into play. Because I
yeah,
told you
well,
there's a
okay
difference
then,
between
but
the culture and hip hop. You know what I mean?
yeah, but like say
Started
as a young yeah, but definitely as a young person, like say I got out of high school, let's say 81. And yeah, it was definitely more coming to the parties at that time. But like let's say even in the 80s it was nowhere near 50-50, because like say that's when all those groups like Brand Nubian, it was a different vibe until the next decade, the 90s, and the gangster rap. So
Okay.
we just can't gloss over that neither. Like the
Yeah.
the um the 80s weren't uh a decade where you didn't have that conscious rap as well. And like cats
Right.
like Rakim and KRS, that's what they made their bones on
Right.
earlier
Right.
on.
Yeah. Public Enemy, all of that. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, how did we forget Public Enemy?
Okay,
Yeah.
let me check this out. I'm gonna allow some brothers to come up, and because like I said, don't want this thing to be too long. So I want some people to come up and shed their, maybe they have some questions for you, Khalif, and um, brother Don. Let me see. Okay, we got Dion Moon. He talking a lot of crap, so I'm glad he's up. Let's do this. Okay, go ahead, brother Rush. What is it, Rushy son? I'm sorry, brother. Oh, is that a Melanated War? No, that's not Melanated. No.
Yeah, it's Roguish.
Good.
What to do, brother?
Okay,
Respect.
what's up, brother? Go ahead, brother. What's up?
I,
How you
I
doing?
I'm maintaining, man. Maintaining. Respect to y'all. Appreciate the build and everything.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to even having to have these conversations, I want to know, for those of y'all who were there back in the past, what is it that y'all believe that you received from them that was indicative of, I guess, something accepting of their culture through those individuals that you encountered in your past? Because I'm a '80s baby, and in the '80s baby, what I'm saying, a fuck you was a fuck you unto us, and we
Mm-hmm.
carried it the same as if it came from one of our own or into someone of a, what I'm saying, distant community. But what I'm saying, it seems that y'all are a lot more loving than we were. And how does it feel having to go through that? Like now with these people out of pocket in ways that they wouldn't be when we were children, right? Like
Yeah.
I
Right.
I I,
Yeah.
I know when I came up in the fourth grade and fifth grade, if we heard anybody out of pocket, it would potentially some harm that's going to come to them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's weird to hear them out of pocket now in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's like y'all waited too damn long.
No, what
Mm.
that is, brother, right? Is they, they waited till they got their numbers up, and now
Mm.
now they want to poke their chest out. That's really all about. Because before they weren't like that.
Your
Well,
mic
well,
is low.
I,
No,
I,
no,
I, I just, I
your
just
mic-
wanted to say, I
When
just
the
wanted to
numbers
let
say
me just
was
something
hold on
else.
for a second.
like
Hold on. I know. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second.
right.
Brother Khalif, your
Yeah.
mic is Jackie. Is not clear. Okay, so we can't really
Hold
hear
on.
what you're saying. So you might want to try to figure out how that's the issue. Go ahead, brother Don. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to answer this, brother, because there were other influences that were happening at that time. Like say the 5 percenters was very prevalent. I would say even the Nation of Islam was very prevalent still within of many of our households. But I said all of that to say one of the things that was instilled in us was that when it came to people that was in our diaspora, like let's say the Caribbeans and stuff like that, our elders was teaching us that those are your people, whether whether they know it or not. So
Oh,
you know
okay.
when you yeah, and you got to realize you talking about we 13,
Yeah,
14,
you're
we
young.
all running around now,
Yeah.
and the truth of the matter is that a lot of these views that people are puffing their chests up about now, no, that's not how it was. We came up, we played stickball together, we ran together. Many of us had kids together, so the what you hear now is not the majority, and
Yeah.
that's the part that's
And,
unfortunate. They
and and the
step into
thing
the front.
too with these kids, right, that you're hearing now, they are not their parents. They're not their parents. Their parents weren't talking like that back then. You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
See
perhaps
now,
maybe in the house though. Remember,
maybe in the
we
house,
took our
maybe in the
jam.
house,
We
but it
took our
wasn't out
jam
like they weren't.
outdoors. We had
Yeah, my
love in the house, and we took
Well,
that outdoors. What they arrived and participated with was not something that they can bring from inside their house to
right.
our jams. Mhm.
Well, I'll
Oh,
say
okay.
this, and this is going to be controversial because this goes for all the parents, and whether you was Caribbean or you was black or you was Puerto Rican. If because I had dudes that were from Jamaica, and if I went to their house and it was dinner time, the moms did not say, "Oh, we eating dinner, come back later, come in, clean up." You know, and it was the same with them. If they came knocking on our door, our moms bring them in, and they had soul food. So, you know, I think the parents realized that even though we had cultural differences, that look, we was in those same neighborhoods together. So
But
when we
what were
came
the
up,
cultural differences where there was the beef, if there was any beef? Because Black Americans didn't have beef for people back
no,
then.
we
Black
did not.
Americans was just trying to, you know what I'm saying, do their own thing. And it seems everybody first shows up with beef, and then they got to
Right,
try,
but
I guess, work their
that's
way.
always
But
that's
he's
always
bringing up
been.
a good point. But can I actually? But you know something? I think where a lot of this comes from, and it's stuff that we just gloss over. Listen, we done gave the world jazz. We done gave the world rock and roll. We done gave the world funk. Now, you know, hip hop and many things in between.
Modern nation.
And and
We're the
and
factor of that as well.
and
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and you know what they say from the diaspora, and even from our brothers sometimes from Africa. They have the audacity to say that Black Americans don't got culture.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Meanwhile, they over there trying to dress like us, trying to talk like us, and trying to act like us,
What?
but we don't
Okay,
have
hey,
any culture.
gentlemen, I really want to hear from this gentleman here from Dion Moon. He's one of my big time haters, and so I'm glad he's up because I would
Okay,
love to
good.
hear what he has to say. Maybe he has some questions for you, Don, and for you, Khalif. He may have even have questions for me. So kudos to you, Dion Moon Shabazz, for stepping up and tell me what you want to say. Go ahead, the floor is yours. Just be respectful. Go ahead.
Hello, you hear me?
I hear you.
Yes.
Yep.
First and foremost, let's get some things really clear about me. I'm not white. I'm a mixed race Asian.
Who said that you were white?
Well, they have often had. But here's the thing.
Go
Let's
ahead. Go
get
ahead.
to the point. Don Windsor, you said that Coltrane was the foundation of bebop. No, he wasn't.
I didn't say it. What go ahead.
Yes, you did. You mentioned Coltrane and bebop. Now, you said that the Ohio funk players had Ohio funk had nothing to do with Latino music. And I told you, and I broke it down in the video on let me talk the messages I said to you, and you acknowledged that. Did you not?
I stand on my square that funk percussion came from young Black Americans.
No, you didn't say that.
No. This is no. What did I say? What
Hold
did
up.
I
Let work
say?
one at a time. Don't shout and match. Let's
Okay, what
just
did I say?
let person speak and then you can respond. Okay. Go ahead. Finish. Go ahead, Don. Finish.
Did you acknowledge that the fact that Ohio funk was influenced by Latino music? Yes or no?
I would say no. I would still say no.
Why you say that?
Okay, well allow me to answer.
And Don, Dion, just let him speak. Don't interrupt, please. I don't want it back and forth.
Okay,
Okay.
so now let me answer his first question. When I was talking about bebop, right? We went back and forth about from the Palladium. What I said that the next stage in jazz was bebop, which was the total opposite of the big band.
Absolutely.
Wait, absolutely. Okay, so now not only did they not use percussion, but they went to quartets and trios. Now I use John Coltrane not as a foundation. He's one of my favorite out of bebop. But what I'm saying is bebop went in the total different direction from what was considered from the Palladium. Now, what I also said, which
no, you're wrong.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying. Now, what I also said was that what happened in the funk era was that those kids who were young at the time was following James Brown, not Tito Fuentes. And I stand on that. and I stand on that. Now, the thing about it was funk, even percussion, 99% of those records were played by black folk. Don't take my words. They got album credits that will show that. So my point is that why can't y'all give those kids credit that was listening to Sly Stone, that was listening? Well, go ahead. Yeah. Why can't you give them credit? What are you smiling about? Answer.
I'm smiling because I don't understand how you could even think that people are outside FBA. My wife is FBA.
Brother,
okay?
can you just answer the question?
Stop. Let me talk.
Brother, chill, because I'll take you down if you can't control yourself. Now, control yourself, Dion. Dion, control yourself. Go ahead.
I'm going to control myself.
Please, go ahead.
You actually think that people outside FBA, and my wife is FBA, can't listen to Carlos Santana, can't listen to anything else. I told you about Steve Arrington.
Right.
You know what? Let me stop you. See, you're mixing things up. Nobody's saying no one can hear you, Dion. So just hold up. Let me say this. No one is saying that Black Americans didn't listen to anybody else. No one is saying that. What we're saying is that there are other influences that came about that influenced Black Americans to play percussions. It didn't come from just Latinos. You got to get that through your head. You have to also understand there was a Black Power movement, a Pan-African movement, there was a Black is Beautiful movement. All of those things are real. And if you don't understand that history, it's no way you can understand that we didn't need Latinos to influence us, man. So you got to understand the history. Until you understand the history, you can't go on to this thing about Latinos did. No. We did our own thing too, man.
But let me say something about Mr. Steve Arrington.
I'll bring you on in a minute. I'll bring you on. Just cool out, Dion. I'll bring you back on in a moment. Go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
Mr. Steve Arrington, right? Had a chance to be influenced by the family of Sheila E. Is that correct? So, who are heavily influenced in the music industry. Now, what are the chances of your average musician that has access to those high level people? Now, the other thing about Sheila E.'s father was that he was very progressive in his thinking, because he told his daughter that you can adjust to the funk. And these are not my words, these are her words. So the point that I was making to this gentleman, and which I said before, these Latin rhythms that you speak of, right, were throughout the Caribbean and in Black America as well.
Go ahead, Dion.
First and foremost, you need to look at the fact that Steve Arrington studied Latin music and played in Latin bands because he traveled to San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's true? Yes.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
But you said that it had no influence on the Ohio funk song.
Can I say what I said? And you can wait. Can I say what I said?
Don. Let him finish. Let him finish. I know. Don, let him
Wait a
finish.
minute. I just wanted to just say this to Mr. Moon.
No,
What I said was
Don.
that they had little or no influence. I did not say
no influence, but say
Don, let him finish. Let him finish. Dion, go ahead. Go ahead,
But
Dion.
Steve Arrington, I told you this before Dr. Cologne broke it down to you, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
You're wrong. What does that got to do with the culture
that's
that
what I
we
said.
create?
Yeah,
Nobody want to hear that you think that you're right. What does it got to do with the culture that we create, and where you think that it fits in with a factor or any of this progression? What are you talking about?
You're using one individual.
That's
Funk.
right.
What about Sly Stone? What about James
Let's
Brown?
talk about Sly Stone.
Okay,
Let's
well,
talk
let's
about this.
go ahead.
Oh, he's trying to
Let's.
make the show about him.
I know.
Stone was the foundation of funk.
Sly Stone was not.
Oh,
James Brown is the foundation of funk.
This is a Peckerwood, ain't it? This is
No,
a Peckerwood in here trying to tell us about our culture.
Let him burn.
Who
What's
are
the
you?
foundation of funk? No, let me ask him.
No,
What is the foundation of funk?
Peckerwood.
Okay,
I'm calling you,
okay,
Pilgrim.
okay, no, okay, no. Listen, I don't want that kind of
No,
talk.
I don't
Please.
want to be
Be respectful.
disrespectful.
I want to
Hey,
respect
well, wait a
channel.
minute. Some of the shit with our culture is kitchen talk.
No,
It's
hold up.
kitchen
No, no.
table talk, and these
Listen,
motherfuckers think
brother,
they got full
brother,
access to
no.
it.
Listen, I can't. Listen, brother. Don't. No.
Mr.
I don't want
Mr. Moon, what is the foundation of funk?
Ragesh, son, I don't want to take you off, but I gotta have a respectful channel here.
Yeah.
I don't want a whole lot of cussing on this channel. So I ask you to respect that.
Ever call me a Peckerwood?
I didn't call you that. I didn't call you that. I didn't call you that.
But someone called me that.
Okay, I did not call you that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
And okay, and Dion, listen.
Dion,
listen.
can we just get to? Let's stay on call.
Let me. I'm gonna apologize for that. I don't condone that on my channel. You know, I wanted my channel to be respectful. We could disagree. We could agree to disagree.
Right, and I didn't do any of it.
But I don't want that on my channel. So I apologize for that. But so let that go. We're gonna move on. But I want to say this, and I don't want this to be a long drawn out thing because it doesn't have to be. The mere fact of the matter is Steve Arrington, when he got with Slave, he wasn't playing. His job was to sing. So there was no Latin percussions in the music when he was singer. He wasn't doing none of that. You know.
May I just ask him?
You know, come on, go ahead.
But I just want to ask him, right? What is to you the foundation of funk?
Well, the foundations of funk go to the blues, brother.
No. I'm just saying, but when it really crystallized to the funk, we know that part. We know our history. I'm saying what
I know my history too, because African American history is American history.
Okay, but what I'm saying, sir, what is in the era in the genre of funk, like the genre? We know the ingredients that go there. So what do you consider that foundation, or as far as funk, in your opinion? I'm not trying to sway you in any way. I'm just trying to see where you're coming from, since we're getting a chance to talk face to face.
Let's talk about the funk.
I would love to.
See, these people are laughing.
I'm not laughing. Listen,
say what you're going to say. Say what you're going to say, Dion.
Let's stay here.
Listen, hold up, Don. Hold on. We're not going to be here all day. You need to make your point and make it succinctly so we can move on. If you have smoke for me, hurry up and get it over with, because I'm not going to spend all day going back and forth. For you not to respect Black American culture, it's dishonest. It's dishonest, and I don't like that. And so I'm not going back and forth with you. So if you got anything for me, tell me right now. What do you got for me that you want to get off your chest? Because you got so much smoke in the chat, so much smoke in the comments. So what do you got to say for me? Go ahead. I'm gonna give you that moment right now. Come at me. Tell me what's your problem with me. Go ahead.
You know what? I have a problem with you. I'll tell you right now, because all you do is always look down and attack other FBA people and Puerto Ricans and everyone else. It seems to me that as a mixed race Asian, someone called me a Peckerwood, right? I'm a mixed race Asian. That's what you think of me. And why don't you just be honest about it?
No, I'm from
Hold
North
up.
Tulsa.
You don't know
want
what
the explanation? I'm from North Tulsa. I'm from Black Wall Street, motherfucker. So yeah, all y'all, get the fuck up out of here. I don't give a damn what the hell you say. You ain't finna say nothing on my people, on our culture, on our soul, on our history, on our contributions, and you're gonna try to battle us with this. What are you trying to be, some new Vlad or something? You can't take this. You been around Black people. You know funk. You ain't never dealt with a funky mofo. What's up? Talk and quit talking so all slow. The fuck you on Xanax?
Rashid, forget something. I got to cross you on the language, please, brother, please.
All right,
Please,
my bad, my bad.
please. Okay, go ahead, Dion. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just talk about Tulsa.
No,
Don't say
no,
nothing
come
about
on.
Tulsa.
Let's
Don't
stay
say
on
nothing
the
about Tulsa.
subject because you're
No,
bouncing all
no.
over the place.
Dion, listen. If you don't stay focused, I'm just
I'm
gonna just drop you
focused.
because
You
I
just
don't have
mentioned
time for
Tulsa.
all of this. I asked you
Okay.
specifically one thing. You have a lot of smoke from me.
I
in
don't have smoke,
comments.
brother.
Well, yes, you do. You have a lot of smoke from me on the comments and chats. So I want to know, what is your problem with me? You said I talk down to people. When do you hear me ever talking down on people? When do you ever hear me bad mouthing or saying racial slurs about any race or group of people? You tell me when I ever did that.
The Puerto Rican's only invention is pina colada, brother.
I never said that.
Come on, man.
I
Listen,
never said that.
may I say
Oh,
something?
I never
May I
said
say
that.
something? Let me say something.
Oh, no.
You know what, Dion? You got, listen. I'm about to drop you because you're not making any sense. So you got one more minute if you want to ask Don one more question, and that's it. Because you're wasting my time right now, man. You really are. So go ahead, ask Don the question because you ain't got nothing to say to me. Clearly.
Yo, John.
Okay,
John.
I'm listening.
I'm gonna say something right now, and Bruce, I'm asking you with all due respect. A man that just talked about me about Tulsa. Okay? I want you to listen to what I'm going to say. What you laughing, brother?
Hey, bro,
Make
go
your point,
somewhere.
Dion. Make
Go
your point,
somewhere,
brother.
man.
Come
Yo,
on, hurry up.
got somewhere.
Go ahead. Make your point.
This guy here.
Don't worry about if you hear laughter. So what? Make your point.
Go ahead.
The point of the matter is that my father-in-law is a gunsmith, and
Yay.
he is at Tulsa
Yay.
because he's a black man,
Yay.
and he's a black man that used guns against white men. You hear me?
Goodness.
Yeah, that's right, brother. Did you ever do it against
We
a
thank
white
you.
man?
We thank you for your contribution.
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Don,
Thank you.
I mean, Dion, you're out.
Yeah,
You're out. You're out. You're out. You're out.
Sayonara.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't.
No, that was very bizarre.
do it.
And listen,
Yeah,
it's
it was.
okay.
It was.
Listen,
was
it is
bizarre.
okay to not agree and bring your points. Willing to discuss them, man. But I'm just gonna be honest, man. The cat was not coherent at all, and he was, a little bit all over the place. But I'm not gonna disrespect him.
He disrespected himself.
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Right. So you listen. Like I said, I didn't want to be up here all night. I'm hungry, but I wanted to give that guy a chance because he's always in my comments talking crap, and so clearly he clearly had not much to say to me, and much as he talked.
Okay, listen, but can I say something to this brother? I didn't get your name. What's your name, brother?
Roger's son.
Okay, so I can understand where he's coming from, but this is the thing, brother Truth. There is an element out there that has a problem that we want to celebrate our legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Like for us to say, "Hey, man, we gave the world jazz." They did the same thing with
We gave
jazz.
the world
Jazz,
music.
Everything.
well, yes, but the point is that we've seen this show over and over. When jazz came, Benny Goodman became the king of swing. When rock and roll came, Elvis became the king. So it's like there's been an erasure from our legacy for a very long time.
Right.
And listen, we celebrate. Listen, man, Carlos Santana is a bad mofo. Tito Fuentes is a bad mofo. Eddie Palmieri. No one's saying those things. All we're saying is that, look, young folks created funk. Why is that a problem?
Mm-hmm.
And that is not lying or trying to erase anyone else. It's just saying, hey, these kids was influenced by James Brown, Sly Stone, and the list goes on and on and on.
Well, no, James Brown. No, James Brown is funk. To
Well, we
to
know
to
that.
to
I
those
mean, first
those
of all,
yeah.
that is. I
No,
mean, I didn't think we had to spell that out.
no, but that's the whole that's the whole issue. We didn't think we had to at the beginning because what's known don't need to be spoken of. But if
Mhm.
it's about if it's valued, it wasn't valued by the other sectors who was interacting with it. We just thought we just accept it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And we give everybody their props, not just us. If you code with it, you code with it, and don't hate the player, play the game. We can't
Yeah.
take nothing. We can't take nothing from you with that. But
Yes.
the way that they were operating, they were already under a tribal standard within the home, and within that tribal standard was anti-blackness. It wasn't just what I'm saying. Oh,
Trial.
everybody specifically. It was mainly anti-black, and we didn't rock like that. We weren't anti nobody because that didn't serve us in
Well,
home or out the
I
home.
agree.
Well, let me say something. Hold up, Gunny. You're gonna come out because you're echoing it and it's not clear. So go back out and come back in again. All right, all right. Okay, so let me close him out because his I don't know what happened. He's not coming in and out. But in any event, like I said, yeah, I'm gonna wind this down, but I want to give Don. You give me your last take on what we discussed today. You kind of already did it, but your
Yes.
closing remarks if you want to give some.
Yeah, and like I said, man, this is not anti anyone, man. It's just that, listen, it's pretty obvious by the the music, the dance, and listen, other communities contribute. So I don't even know why we're even going back and forth with this, but I know why. Is that now it's a whole global thing, and
Mhm.
everybody's, planting a, fag, and it's not really necessary for, let's say, the brother that wanted to come in and be disruptive. If you want to have a conversation, I've had conversations with, people who disagree, but
Mhm.
we could sit here and have a conversation about it. But
Okay.
as far as this hip hop thing, like this brother that's here from the Magnificent Seven, this is not something hearsay for me. This is something that I lived.
Mm.
Those are my closing remarks.
All right,
And
bro.
wait, one more thing. Shout out, because I didn't get a chance to do it earlier, who is very instrumental in my upbringing of hip hop, my brother, DJ Amin. And I want to say, rest in peace, Arik Richard Rivera from the Zulu Nation.
All right, bro. Even though brother Rogi, son, you weren't a invited panelist, but I want you to say your closing. If you want to say something in closing, since you hung around, you're welcome. Like I said, I don't mean to get on you, brother, but
No,
in
no,
terms of the
I'm rogue.
language,
I,
it's
I
just
understand. I know how you roll. My
okay.
apologies. I
All
get
right,
crunk over this. You know what I mean? Because the whole
yeah.
thing is, I put my black identity together with black culture. When I didn't
Mhm.
understand what being black was, 1982, 1983. Y'all see how dark cat is, right? So I got so you so black, 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 whatever. But I've always been this shrew, and I knew to
Mm.
go to the history books, the libraries, and all that. And when you look in the past, 10 years later, from 1985 or whatever, you so black, you black, black, whatever. In 1975, we loved everything about ourselves. And with that, you can see that everybody's at the time when we first started really loving ourselves and open up our naturality and embracing ourselves, everybody else started mimicking. I saw the level of mimicry back in the histories of the 70s more than I did in the present of the 80s at that time. And then,
Mhm.
so then we just became the most precious thing in my reality. 40 years later, and you see how everybody who had no love for us in the beginning to where they would exalt us like that, now they want to lay claim and
Mhm.
complete, no different. I remember having the questions about rock and why they're like, well, why don't we have it? You should borrow music. Why don't we have it? And blues? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Hearing that
Mhm.
blues wasn't always these pilgrims, even what I'm saying, honky talk, all that ain't theirs. And it's
Right.
like, you know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like, all right, well, if that comes from us and they can rock like that, what's up within their culture where they can't get on a social harmony though? You know what I'm saying? They love the song, they love the
There
product,
you go.
but
There you
it
go.
doesn't reflect in the culture. And if it
There
ain't
you
gonna
go.
reflect in the culture, if it's F us, it's F you. And I'll leave it
Right.
like that. Holla.
I hear you, brother. All right, brother Khalif, your
Yeah.
close.
Now I just want to say, man, I'm just thankful to be blessed to have been a part of something, in my lifetime, I was able to, be a pioneer of a music genre. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
that's the thing about us, man. Our people, man, we special like that. It's just a
Mhm.
gift. We have all the gifts. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
but it's time for us to just start really gatekeeping our culture. See, the thing is that the question that keep getting asked is why we at this point, right? The reason we at this point is because people are jealous of the fact that we are blessed with these gifts. This is something that just comes naturally to us. I mean, because if you could look at a brother like me in this lifetime, I can say that we woke up one day and created a music genre that's world recognized all over the world. You know what I'm saying? And we did that. We did that. And this is what we do, And the brothers that came before me, the James Browns, and all these other brothers that came, the Stevie Wonders, the Michael Jacksons. You know what I'm saying? We're just gifted like that. You know what I'm saying? As a people, and that's the answer to that question. The reason that other people are so, envious of us and why they try to take away from us is because they know we have these gifts. They know we do. But the thing about it is that now we're starting to gatekeep our culture, and that's what's bothering people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? The
Right.
fact that we gatekeeping our culture.
There you go. That's all it is. That's
What,
all we're doing is gatekeeping.
Mr.
You
Truth,
know?
can I just piggyback a one quick minute
Okay.
for what this
Uh,
brother did say?
all right.
And it's something that has to do with your platform. Um, what is happening on your platform is, and you're going to get a lot of heat because the truth, as we've learned in our lifetime, hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So just like when we had the conversation last week about jazz, that hurt people to hear that. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this will hurt some people to hear the truth about, and listen, I'm falling back. I'm falling back because like this brother Khalif, like I said, I never met him per se, like, hey, Khalif, but when you said who he was, it wasn't like this was some around the way dude. Like this cat that just got finished speaking was not some around the way cat. No, this dude is foundational to this culture that we call hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna leave it there. And yes, brother Truth.
Okay. Okay. Now I want to say to the chat, I appreciate the traffic. It was, I was trying to keep up with the comments. They were rolling in. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, get this thing going, get this channel
Absolutely.
going. If this your first time checking me out, hit the subscribe button. Help me get my information out. And so far, I don't ask for money. A lot of people have these channels and they always asking for money. Donate here, donate. I don't do that. Not that I don't need it, but that's not why I do what I do. I do it for the love of my people. That's my primary. I'm okay financially, so I don't need it like that. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, ain't gonna cost you nothing. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, show the brothers some support, show the channel some support because this is, we got to gatekeep. We're
Right.
under attack.
Right.
We got an administration out here trying to wipe away our history,
Mm-hmm.
literally in real time, trying to
Mm-hmm.
wipe
Yes.
away our history. And so
Mm-hmm.
I can only do part of the battle on this channel, trying to preserve it, trying to make sure it doesn't get erased. Meanwhile, the government is trying to wipe it away. So this is how important what I do and others are doing, gatekeeping, reminding people what we've done, letting people not forget, letting people not lie about our history and our culture.
Right.
So if you don't want to give money, that's fine. Thumb up the video, subscribe to this channel, help me elevate this channel so more people can hear this information because I got so much I want to bring out and a lot of people need to hear that. So again, to the chat and those who have already subscribed and been supporting me from day one, I appreciate the support and I love all of y'all guys. And that's all I really got to say for that. And to the brothers, Khalif and Don, I appreciate again. Like I said, I don't always know everything, and that's why I defer to you
Yeah.
because you guys know what's going on in
Yeah,
the
but
Bronx at the time.
don't discount your contributions, Truth, because you bring a lot. You know what I mean? Just doing this, what you doing is bringing a lot because you bringing knowledge to the people. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like
Thank you.
your podcast because
Well,
I get to
listen.
talk to
Can
the youngins and get a chance to talk. Let
well,
them know how it really was back then.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this, and this is going to really cause a little bit of controversy. Brother Truth is from Newark, and in my later years of high school, I went to some parties in Jersey that was off the chain. People, it wasn't like these dudes was in another planet, man.
Right.
I'm talking about in
I'm only
high
like
school.
25 minutes away from the Bronx. I'm not like, I'm just over the
across
bridge.
the water. You across the bridge.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to Bob Rock, to Ice, Kid Breakout. That's who I used to hang. He was the cousin of Breakout. He was a shorter version of him, so we called him Kid Breakout. And he
Right.
took me to Jersey because he was playing parties in Jersey. And I said, yo, man, listen, this was not in the 80s. We're talking about late 70s.
That's all part of the metro area, man.
Yeah,
Jersey, New
yeah.
York, Connecticut, all that. You know what I mean? It's all,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in PA now, you know what I mean? I'm not even in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, what I found is that, our people, we everywhere, man. We
There
everywhere.
you go.
We
Well,
always have been.
can I just say one thing is what we all share in common is that we all grew up on Sly Stone, James Brown, etc., etc. And I'll be damned if I let anyone say who and who is not a part of this culture. So,
Right.
like, let's
Yeah.
just say, what, folks in down south wasn't listening to James Brown and Jimmy Castor and all
He's
these things that
he's
come on,
from
man.
down south.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, brothers. Again,
All
this
right,
won't be the
man.
last time, I'm sure. So, like I said, I'm glad I got your numbers, and I know if some topic comes up that I need your advice or your expertise, I know who to call, who to reach out to. So,
Yeah.
again, I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you.
All
So,
right.
until for everybody else, stay tuned. We're gonna have some great information. You know how I like to do, and so, hey, until the next time. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.
All right.